Good afternoon. Just some roster moves. Sure that you saw we waived Badgley, added a D lineman, D tackle, Jalen Holmes to our practice squad. Cody White here is going to short-term IR. We're going to start a 21-day window for N'Keal Harry today. He's going to be going through individual, and moving around there, and then getting back with the strength staff after that. And then I think that's all I have. So today we outlined our game plan and our for the Minnesota Vikings relative to the entire game plan, but really the first and second down stuff that we do on Wednesday, and just had a nice walkthrough out there. Obviously, it's a beautiful day, so we're going to be getting after it. We're going to take our pads off after we do punt today, just as for keep the guys fresh. So we'll go all the way through punt team, individual punt team to get the rushes there, and then we'll go take the pads off and go to shells from that point. Very similar schedule to last week, a little bit shorter. We knocked off 15 minutes for this practice, and then about 15 minutes on tomorrow's practice as well to get the guys fresh for Sunday. But from there, open to questions.
Man, are you hopeful for N'Keal Harry playing Sunday, or is that unrealistic?
We'll have to wait and see where he is. If he's doing well, there's potentially that. But again, it's 21 days. We'll figure that out as we go. But we like where he is right now for sure.
And as an extension of that, if everything physically looks normal to you, what's the reasonable amount of time that it takes a guy to catch up with timing, he obviously didn't practice a lot in training camp and isn't up to speed with some of the
Yeah, I think you got to evaluate that as it goes. For me to say, hey, it takes 14 days or 17 days, I think it would be unfair. So it could take less than that. I don't know. But we'll see how he picks it up. I know he's been engaged, in the meetings and engaged in the game plans as we've been going. So that's been great, and we'll see where it goes.
You said you like where he
between Harry being able to come back after being gone and a rookie like Halas being able to get in on offensive stuff when he's been gone?
I think it's on a case-to-case basis, based on the person, based on the player, really.
You said you like where he is right now. Where is he right now? What can he do right now that
Really just in terms of his movement. He's been working with the strength staff, getting ready to go, off to the side, and now we're going to see him actually working individual. So that's a positive thing, just in terms of his movement where he is right now.
What were you guys envisioning for him when you had him back when he was healthy and he was really part of things? How central to the plan was he?
No, obviously when you have a big-bodied receiver like that, that's open and got a good catch radius and can big body guys. That's an important thing to have. In situational football, third down and red zone, those are all important things to look at when you're looking at catchers, and he certainly has that.
Do you still think that Cody's injury is not season-ending?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, with Jefferson, without giving away scheme or strategy, what are the biggest challenges you face as a staff in trying to determine how much attention to pay to him with an offense that can hurt you in other ways too?
Yeah, that's when you got a team that has two good runners, really good runners that are good, really good players, and then the action off of that, then you have another receiver on the other side, and then you're dealing with a number one Jefferson. That's obviously a big issue, and that's always something that you have to weigh. Are you gonna do certain things to double and stop and get guys underneath and all the things that you do to a number one receiver. So it's always a balance. I think you got to pick and choose when you do it, but you have to do it for sure.
Specifically in the run defense, do you want to see things improve so that Dalvin Cook doesn't do what Saquon Barkley did?
Yeah, just consistency. Just consistency of our technique. When we've had good defenses in the past that have been top five, number one in run defense, that's what we've done. We've had guys where they're supposed to be. They're violent. They play with good technique, and that's where we're working to. And we certainly have a lot of work to do.
Are there more?
The majority of the players in Minnesota have been there longer than this new staff. Do you have to I guess, look back at older film to know, like, what the running group is capable of? Because they're not running the ball the same, with the same philosophy, the way that they did it in previous seasons. Like, do you have to kind of look back at, like, history versus now, knowing what all they could do to attack this team?
Yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of things. You have to certainly look at where, Kevin's from, obviously the Rams system, you look at that. You look at past tape because you're looking at players, like the center or whoever that is that's been in there in the past, and the running style of the runners. I think you have to look at it all. But whenever you're looking at a scheme, you got 4 games in now. So this is what these people are comfortable doing. Certainly they're going to change it, with motions, shifts, formations, like everybody does. But they're starting to hone in what they like.
Are there more good receivers now than there have been in the past? And if so, why?
General?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Just because I think the college game, the way it is, I think everybody's been playing receiver. I think as a young age, they come up playing receiver, and, you're sitting there and you're a guy that's in grade school, hey, you want to play receiver or defensive back, and which one did you choose, so. But those guys are getting drafted high now. I mean, it's a premium position for sure, and it's an impactful position.
Matt, with concussions in the news after the Tua injury last week, were there additional conversations over the weekend or this week between coaches and staff and players just about being, more cautious with diagnosing those, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's terrible what happened, but we're always mindful of that, of us guys, with Justin to slide early and do things like that and protect himself, and he's done a decent job with that. Certainly we're always concerned when he gets on the edge and making sure he protects himself, but it's always an issue. We want to do a good job on our defense to make sure we're not doing and committing those fouls. We want to be clean. We don't ever want to give them 15 yards, and we certainly don't want to ever hurt anybody. So we want to do a good job with that as well as coaching on our whole team.
Coach, with all due respect to the Texans and the Giants, is there a greater sense of urgency to get Jalen back this week, considering the offensive firepower that you're facing?
Yeah, anytime you can get a good player like that back, that can cover really well, that would be good. If we can get that done. So we're again, he's day by day. We'll see where it is, but we'll see.
Another question for you about N'Keal Harry. I mean, is he unique on this roster? Do you have anyone else at receiver that can do what he does, or is that a new element that you'd be adding into the passing game?
No, I think he is unique. I think he is. I think all the guys are. Everybody's got a different skill set. Everybody, runs differently. Everybody gets open differently. And I think he's got a unique skill set. Like we said, he's a big body guy that's open like a tight end. Tight ends are typically open because they got smaller guys covering them. Their catch radius is there. They can big body guys. They can use their radius to be able to stay open and keep open. So I think he has all that.
Justin, how do you balance when it's appropriate to run versus when it's appropriate to pass, especially when he can be so successful running? But I imagine that, there were a couple instances the other day where if he had thrown it, it would have been a bigger gain. How do you talk to him about that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I just think it's on a clock. You're back there on a clock, and when the timing and the rhythm is of that particular pass play, and then when it's not there, he just uses his legs. If he has it, and he's done that to good. He's done it really well. So, yeah, that's what I would say about that.
You've often come in here on Fridays and talked about really good red zone practices and that sort of thing. Is there something you're seeing that maybe isn't translating from what they're able to do on the practice field and then what isn't able to be seen?
Yeah, we just certainly have to improve on that. It's about scoring. This league's about scoring touchdowns, and defensively we're doing okay right now, but offensively we need to improve that percentage. But again, the practices just have to translate. It's been good red zone practices. We got good schemes down there, and it just has to translate to the game now.
What needs to improve with your wide receivers as you've studied the tape? Mooney, St. Brown, Pettis. What do you need to see improvement on from those guys?
Yeah, I would just say continued improvement on the rhythm and timing of it. We got Mooney going last week. St. Brown's been, has done a good job to this point. We just got to continue the whole group. Really just the rhythm and timing of the passing game. And I think it's improving. I see it in practice, and we saw glimpses of it last week. So it's a work in progress, but it's improving.
Matt, why do you think Eddie's hitting a stride right now, or do you see him hitting a stride?
Yeah, he's hitting his stride. He has played really well over the first 4 games, and really, I go back to what I think I said a couple weeks ago about his training camp. Man, he worked. He never missed a day. I think if he did, I don't remember. But he is in his best shape of his life. He really bought into it. He's taking great angles. He's tackling well. He's obviously ball hawking, understands the big part of the field there. He blitzed well the other day, so he's doing everything he asks his safety to do. And he's been a nice thing to see for me, from just working with him. It's been a joy.
Is there anything for,
Yeah.
Is that more on him, is that instinctual by him, or is that more you guys, that's a call, like to move him up there?
Yeah, I saw him do some of that last year. He was down a little bit last year and made some plays on the line. So I think he's good at that. He's an all-around safety to me. He can play the deep part of the field, come down and blitz. We saw that, and also he can play close to the line of scrimmage. And he's really good at manning. He manned that receiver. We had that pressure last week. He manned the receiver, had poised through the down, and ended up breaking that pass up. So he can do a lot of things.
How have you seen Kirk Cousins perform in this new system that they're in?
It's very similar to the last system he was in. I know the verbiage is different, and it's a different style. But in terms of the wide zone and the play action and the basic tree, it's really the same, coming from the same tree. So I don't think it's that far different for him.
Well, in general, when you have a particular player on your defense that's just struggling a little bit, do you conceptually do things as a collective to try and help that player, or do you just encourage that player to get better individually?
I think you got to do both. If you can do some things to help that guy, if he's, if he is, you can help him with coverage. You can help him with, if it's a defensive lineman, you can help him with his technique. But I think it's both. You got to help guys the best way you can as a coach.